negative coverage of his campaign. Now, Mr. Trump should keep in mind that a few days before this meeting, that paper praised former Obama advisor, now a CNN contributor, Van Jones, as a, quote, star of the 2016 campaign. By the way, the same Van Jones who was a member of the alt-radical left and who viciously attacked Donald Trump on a consistent basis. Here are just some of the things that were said about the president-elect on CNN with Van Jones.
A white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes. And Donald Trump has a responsibility tonight to come out and reassure people that he is going to be the president of all the people who he insulted and offended and brushed aside.
If there's one thing that Donald Trump could do now that might calm some people, we're on track for a tragedy.
No, this is a really sad night. I'm just going to say it. This is a very sad night for the country. You can't polish this turd.
He doesn't talk about George Washington. He doesn't talk about Ronald Reagan the way he talked about Putin and Assad. This man has demonstrated an appalling lack of patriotism, and you should be ashamed to sit up here and defend it.
He was describing some Mad Max America. I work in some of the toughest neighborhoods and some of the toughest communities in this country, and I don't know what he's talking about. I've never felt this way in my life. I have read in history, being in moments where there's some big authoritarian movement and some leader that's rising up. And I felt that way tonight.
Now, all of this gets to my larger point tonight. Now, in 2008, if you remember, I said journalism was dead, and this election now shows it was far worse than any of us ever thought. Now, WikiLeaks, they exposed rampant collusion between the media and, of course, Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. We now know that interim DNC chair Donna Brazile from the Clinton campaign gave them multiple debate questions. That's called cheating. CNN was soliciting the DNC for questions that they should ask Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and Carly Fiorina during their interviews. Reporters asked the Clinton campaign for approval before publishing their stories. So-called journalists allowed the Clinton campaign to edit quotes. Over at CNBC, John Harwood was offering the campaign advice and bragged about going after Trump in a debate that he was moderating. And worst of all, WikiLeaks exposed how dozens of journalists from every major news organization, except the Fox News Channel, were invited to be wined and dined at Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta's house. Donald Trump should keep all of that in mind. The media already had its chance to cover Donald Trump fairly and honestly. They blew it. And in my opinion, it's time to reevaluate the press in this country, and maybe it's time to change the traditional relationship that the press will have with the White House. Now, in this day and age of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, does Trump really need to be granting access to biased journalists that openly oppose him? Just look at the video the president-elect released yesterday. It was detailing actions that he will take on key issues during his first 100 days in office. Now, Trump can do this and speak directly to you, the American people, without having his words twisted and taken out of context. Why not do that? So until members of the media come clean about colluding with the Clinton campaign and admit that they knowingly broke every ethical standard that they're supposed to stand and uphold, they should not have the privilege. They should not have the responsibility of covering the president on behalf of you, the American people.